What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. What we're going to be going through today is hiring writers on Upwork. So this is something that I regularly do. I source all of my writers on Upwork. And one thing that I'd recommend, what I just want to go through before we actually get into the video and the tutorial, is mainly that one of the things that I've done that's really helped me recently is getting all of my writers into a group. Not only does it help you to negotiate better prices if you are working with people on a long-term basis, but also it establishes a relationship amongst all of you and allows you to put a team effort into the project that you're working on. So a lot of the time when you're hiring different people, they don't really understand how to submit your work. It slows you down because you can't really publish as fast as you want to because you've got to do so much editing after someone submits the work. So one of the things that I get my writers to do is I get them to do the outbound links, because if they're writing the content, they're obviously getting the information from somewhere. They're going to be, going and sourcing information from some places on the internet. So what I get them to do is just link to it. Like, I tell them, don't do it in the top half of the article, do it in the lower half. And I've just created a training hub on my website where I've just got this tutorial, and it's got a bunch of different videos that I've created on YouTube, which are unlisted videos, so you can only see it if you have a link to it. What it does is it shows them all of the ways that I would like them to submit the work. Okay, so I go through heading structures, so how to actually optimize the heading structures inside of Google Docs. So in Google Docs, I don't know if you know, but you can actually go over and you can select different headings and create them at your own size, own customizable look and whatever it is you want it to be like. And then you can reuse them across the page. So when you upload it then to WordPress, it's already optimized, like in regards to on-page SEO. So that solves that problem. In your content brief, and if you're using the content briefs that I've given you before, you can tell them that you only want them to write 2 to 3 lines maximum. So that's now formatting the content in the right way. And once they get into the hang of it and you keep giving them, anytime they get it wrong, give them the feedback and say, hey, I noticed that you never done the outbound links on this one, or you done the outbound links but in the wrong places. You would do it in this kind of way. And what happens is they slowly learn and they slowly understand exactly what you want. And then you get to an optimal stage where they just know what you want and they keep publishing content. Now this will cut your editing time in half. Like, honestly, because all you're going to be doing from there is optimizing all of the keyword densities and whatever else, maybe adding a few images, and then it's ready to go out, and making sure that it reads well and whatever else, grammar's correct and all of that. But it just really speeds things up. The other thing that it helps with is if you're all working on a project together, then people can feed ideas that they have. So I'm creating an ebook for the site down the road, as many of you know. So that's really helpful there, because I've actually got my team of writers who write my content who are going to do this. So they are passionate owners of dogs. One of them runs like a rescue and she wants to be a part of that, So one of the things that we're going to be doing is all putting our heads together. And I said, look, there's 4 of us in total. 3 of them can take each section of the book. So depending on the word count that I'm going to have, I'll split that into 3, and then they can all cross-check each other's work as well and say, hey, you know what, I would have added this here, or maybe I'd improve this. And as you know, when you're working on something as a team, it makes the problem become very small. Okay, because if you're doing it on your own, it's going to be very difficult. So this allows me to really get a lot more done, a lot more fast. Okay, the other benefit to working and hiring on Upwork is that you can establish lower prices, and the reason why is because when you offer someone long-term work, which you're going to be offering to anyone, because if you're building a site and you're outsourcing the content, you're going to be paying like all of these services like non-stop every other week. Wouldn't you rather have someone who knows your business, is trained to do what you want them to do, and they write well, and they are in the niche, like they actually do what they say? Okay, with that said, what we're going to do now is get into the video, and I'm going to show you how I actually go out and find these writers. So this is one of the job posts that I put out, and it's very simple to do if you want to create. I believe you just go up here, go to post a job, and you can go through a series of steps that walks you through how to create something like this. So this was specifically for my site. Just to explain how I put this together. So we're currently aggressively searching for long-term writers to expand our affiliate website about pets. Okay, average word count you want to include, and what types of articles they'll be creating.
You'll be required to write in alignment with the guidelines provided in our detailed content brief. So I've given you the content briefs already, so you know how to go out and actually share that with your writers. Our workflow will require you to work directly on Google Docs that we have created. Okay, so that's like the briefs underneath them. Yeah. That said, we would like to request some past work, any work you've done, okay, and get a quotation of per 100 words. Now, a ballpark figure to go by is around $2 per 100 words, but you can negotiate people down to like $1.5 per 100 words if you're establishing a long-term relationship with them. So if you can promise them like a very long-term amount of work, then you can negotiate that price down. And what's better is you can actually train these people to work in your own way. Now, the way to train them is to create like a hub, yeah? And what you want them to be doing is things like formatting their articles on a Google Doc. You also want to instruct them on how to do outbound links, okay? So you want to tell them, you know, the reason of why they're doing outbound links, how many to put within an article on average, how many words to cover on a hyperlink, and all of that inside of training. So that is something that I won't be sharing in this kind of video, because that's a complete advanced kind of training, and that's something that I'll be updating in my ebook. So if you have the ebook, you'll be able to get that, or if you want to buy the ebook, then obviously you'll get that information there. All right, so when we go down here, we are rapidly growing a site in the dog niche, so you can expect a ton of work in the future. Okay, please reply back with the 2 items requested to give us a clear idea of whether you're a good fit for the business. What experience levels am I looking for? So when Upwork puts you through the application of applying for posting a job, it's going to ask you what kind of people are you looking for. I just used intermediate, so I get like I capture all types of people, and then skills and experiences they have, preferred qualifications, how long they're looking to work for, my budget, and then unanswered invites. You know, so these are people who applied to the job, like 33 people, but I think I've closed it for the moment or something. You'll start getting proposals right after that. And look, if we take a look at how much traffic Upwork gets, the reason why you want to use Upwork, look, they're getting 30 million visitors a month. So a lot of those are freelancers looking for work. So when you post that job, you do nothing. Like, people just start applying to the job, like, you know, qualified people. But what I do to take things a step further is I go and source the people who I'm looking for. So what I'll do is I'll go to writers and make a search. So you can search for freelancers. Then you want to do writers. Now, where I actually start to drill down and find people that are good is I look for hourly rates. You know, so look, this is how you find people, like the ones who are going to take good prices, you know, like your kind of $2 for 100 words and all that stuff. Because if you're going for these guys and all that, they're going to be very expensive. When we come down here, you can see their job success rate. So to get the creme de la creme, you're going to obviously go to 90% and above, but maybe it won't give you enough results. So then you would reduce that filter to about 80%, but we're going to start off with 90%. And if you're on a paid subscription, you can choose top rated, but some of them are top rated within the mix anyway. Then we've got hours billed. Personally, I'm not looking for someone who has worked only an hour on the platform. I'm looking for people who have really committed to the platform. So let's say 1,000 hours or more. So they've worked really hard on this. So you can see that puts us down to only one writer. So that filter is too tight. So we need to reduce that and broaden out. So now we've got 2 writers, okay, which is not a lot. Okay, and then we've got English level. So we at least want them to be fluent. Yeah, okay, so not conversational, because we're looking for writers. For outreach specialists, you can do something completely different, you know, for that kind of thing. Okay, and then other languages, you could specify that if you were looking for that. Okay, so now you can see we're only on the UK. So when we switch that off, it's going to go to global. Okay, so we'll be able to probably bring that filter back down to 1,000 hours plus. Okay, so we can see, look at that, there's like pages upon pages, because if we go to 5, we'll probably have like 10 all the way. Look, so you'll not get to the end of this, because I tried before and I got like 30 or 40 pages in, and you still keep finding people. Okay, so you can set all these filters, because one thing we've now found is people who have earned a lot, who have worked a lot, they're cheap in price, and they have a high success rate. You see, so that's how we've done all of that, by just filtering down. Okay, so when we come down, you can see all of these different people, And I think it doesn't need for me to say that you can just go through and check the different people's work, and if they got like, portfolio or different qualifications, you can look at like the kind of qualifications they have, previous work they've done, to make an educated decision of whether they're good. Now, after you've got a few people, what you can do is you can invite these people to jobs. See, so once you've got that job listed out, I don't even specify any of this. It doesn't matter, because you just need them to kind of read it and come in. So you can see, look, the job pops up here. I click that and I'd send invitation, and she would get invited to the job that I posted, which is here. So she'll come to this and see that I've invited her, and then we can discuss further terms. Now, what I would recommend is you use a 500-word test article to test each writer that comes in. The reason why is because this will allow you to compare, with the variable being the writers and the constant being the test article. That way you can compare the levels of quality that differentiates amongst different writers, okay? And it's black and white when you do it like this, because you will get one piece of content that comes back, one that doesn't, and you'll see the complete differences. Then you also need to give those people feedback, okay? So you have to tell them, improve this or change this, because there's always going to be room for improvement. Yeah, so you need to give them those steps to improve the article. What you're measuring when you give them the criticism is how well they implement the information that you've passed on and fed back to them. And then secondly, how they take criticism, because some people are very defensive, so you might not have a good working relationship with those people. So these are all the things that you need to be measuring when you're hiring a writer on Upwork. Once you've done so, you put them through your training hub. I recommend you use YouTube and use an unlisted video. So if you don't have a YouTube account, it's free to create. And you're able to create an unlisted video of where people can only watch it if they have the link. So that's what you want to do. Create like 5 of them, train them as hard as you can. So all the things that I teach you in the videos in regards to your on-page SEO. So you want to train them to use outbound links. You want to train them to do headings correctly and how to format those headings. The content brief, you want them to submit the work with only 2 to 3 lines max. Okay, so they're formatting correctly. You want them to be writing persuasively, touching base on all of the points that you mentioned in the content brief. And I've given you like an entire course inside of this video. Sometimes I kick myself because I give so much away for free. I could honestly charge for this type of information, and I've been through some courses, and honestly you don't even get this. For like some courses that are over $500, you don't get this type of information. So class yourself as lucky if you've come into contact with this video. I've given you the proofreading template as well. If you don't have it, download it. And you can see article is written in first person, no overly short sentences, so on and so forth. But what you need to do is you need to compare it with the information that you gave them in the brief. Okay, so I've given you a brief before, but what you need to do is basically see, like, did they touch base on all these things? Because if you give them brief instructions and then you gave them the information of, did they mention within the 500 word article, because you can see the review should be 250. So after they've done the intro and the review, they should only have a little bit of space. So all you're reading is one review, and you're seeing, did they touch on that, and so on. Okay, was the introduction warm, friendly, and genuine, if that's how you wanted them to write it? And did they tell the reader what they aim to gain within the first 120 words? Okay, if it's an informational piece, like, did they optimize for the snippet position? You know, you want to instruct your writers to do all this information. Did they write in a maximum of 3 lines per paragraph? That's another thing you need to look at. Okay, did they use a conversational tone? Was it research intensive? Did they stick to word count? All of these different things. So when you come here, you're going through and evaluating. I don't use this. I just generally just look at someone's content and needed to distill the information in my head and convey it to you in a way that you could take it on and learn from it and adapt it into your strategy. So that's why I listed out this in bullet points. So I needed to extract this information. Okay, but as you can see, this is all the things that I'm just generally looking out for. Now, if you use this a few times, you're going to find your own way. You're going to say, okay, Leon's method is great, but I'm going to improve on that, or I'm going to do it a little bit different. These are the things. I've given you all the information of how to find a writer and then how to assess the writer's work. Okay, I've tried to put it all in one sheet because it gets too confusing. So this is for like buyer's guides, what to consider sections if that's on the article, how to articles, so on. And so I've tried to give you like everything in one hub. Yeah, so I hope you find that useful, and that better helps you to go out and find writers that are credible and effective in working with. Once you've established a good relationship, I would recommend setting up a Slack group or a Skype group to have your writers all in a hub together. And don't hire more than like 3 people, because you want to keep the same tone throughout the site. This is a mistake I made early on my site, and this is why it's more beneficial, because if you're constantly ordering content from content mills, then why not just use someone who knows and understands your business and consistently improve with them. So there's so many reasons of why you should be using the same person opposed to changing and chopping, because you have your own staff members that you can train. Okay,